Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is. How's everybody doing? Big day today. Friday Alpha Day. Oh, there's some emojis, emotes. Mm-hmm. Let's see them. I'll see if I can do one. Wave, yep. Trying to scroll in here. It looks like we got quite a bunch of monkeys. We got some penguins. Man, all kinds of different NFTs in here. I see a D-God, a meerkat. I bought a meerkat at the top. My first like big NFT purchase. I think he's ranked 54th, and I paid 72 Sol, and that one hurts a little bit. If anyone wants it, hit me up for 72 or better. Please reach out. So anyway, today, just like last time that we did this, informal. We can talk a little bit about the reveals today. If anyone has questions, of course, you can raise your hand or however it works in this space, and we can go from there. But just a quick recap, I guess, of this morning. So, we did reveal our horse model, 3D horse model and jockey model. That's actually very much in progress. I was kind of not really wanting to release it yet because it's not fully done. Animations aren't complete. If you look closely, you'll notice there's no hair. So we're still, getting the hair stuff figured out. So like the tail is not textured with hair. There's no mane, things like that. But, it's work in progress. You guys can see, and I feel like it's obviously really high quality and is an in-game, that was from actually rendered from within Unity, from within our game engine. So, I wanted to share it, but it's not done. So we'll have more and more shots of that, in the coming months or even weeks, be able to see them fully running around the track, a full field of those models. Once the animations are all complete, we'll get a pretty good look at what a simulation might look like. And that'll be cool. And then I guess the other part was the advisors. So super stoked to have these guys announced and see, again, what kind of a difference we have as a team. So, really trying to spread our advisory board across multiple areas. When you think about our sort of history in the game industry, we made a lot of contacts and know a lot of people in the game industry itself, but I think we know our blind spots, which have been in kind of like crypto, business, finance. So that's what we tried to fill out. Marketing as well. And so super stoked to be able to announce those guys because they're just huge heavy hitters. Tom Getty especially is just a monster land for me. And he and I go way, way back. Worked at EA, 15, 20 years ago together. So anyway, so yeah, that's the sort of gist of today. That's the alpha that will be released today. I know a lot of people probably have questions about the breeding tool. We can talk about that if people have any questions about it. And yeah, anyone else that wants to jump in, raise a hand. I'll be happy to answer some questions. Maybe we'll do 20, 30 minutes of Q&A. Feel free to go right ahead. Or if not, I'll jump it and end early and I'll get back to work. Please, no. Well, nobody's raising their hand. So it might be easy. I'll give it a minute. I'll give it 20 seconds. Oh, there we go. Okay. Dang. Thought I was going to get out of here. Okay, let's see. James, Avery, let's see. I'll add you first here. Add a speaker. Hey, James.
Hey, I was curious how the fundraise is going.
Yeah. Okay. Good question. So we are pretty close to terms on our seed round, and have basically a lead investor that we've agreed verbally with, and so now it's sort of that final closing phase. The gist is that we're going to raise a decent chunk from one investor. Just so everyone knows, too, Third Time is fully independent. We've never taken funds in the last 5 years, so this is all fresh. So it's seed round would be our first fundraise, but we're going to take a larger chunk from a lead, and then we're likely looking to raise, an extra, let's call it 10 to 15, maybe 20% more from the roll-up vehicle. And it seems like that right now is oversubscribed. but people have been reaching out, trying to get in, and we'll kind of see in the coming probably week or two, we'll be able to release the actual details of valuation or percentage equity stake that's available, stuff like that. But it's going really, really well, and I'm super stoked to kind of close it, announce it, make a big deal out of it. Our investor's a big name investor, and we're super excited about it. So hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next up, let's see. How about Fib Newton? Hey, Fib.
Hello, am I up next?
Yeah, you're up. Go for it.
Okay, cool. What's going on? So I had a question. I was wondering, I got to thinking about this after reading the Medium article that you posted today. And I was wondering about like the coats of the Gen Zero racehorses, given that we're going to be laying down, the bloodline foundation. How are you planning on implementing all of the various like genetic spreads for the coats of the Gen Zero horses?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, just for anyone that doesn't know, we do use real life genetics for all of our coat colors. So, we basically create, in our game engine part, we make all these kind of variants of textures that sort of, maybe apply a sooty pattern to an existing color or something like that. And then the genetics themselves are a big block of data that moves along from parent to child, and that is what generates the texture dynamically when the horse is born. So for us, with the 5,000 Gen Zeros, we want to make sure that literally every single gene is in that 5,000, if possible. But there are certain horse genetics that are ultra rare, and there's a lot of coat colors that you do not see in thoroughbreds in real life. They may be seen out in the wild, but they're not in thoroughbreds. And so we'll sort of balance how rare the real life genes are with the 5,000 Gen Zeros, spread it across, and then you look at something like the say the apricot, right, that is like really rare, or champagne or something, in the fillies themselves. That sort of rare, my hope is that sort of rare coat that they have will pass its way down as a rare gene in the actual coat genetics to the Gen Zero.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, absolutely. Because I was thinking like that's maybe the only trait that's really going to be that could actually be conferred between the PFPs and the actual race horses. So that's kind of like the answer I was hoping to get about that. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I'm not sure about the breeding tool. We've been talking about this, but it's strange to think that if you bred two gray PFPs together, that it would not produce a gray Gen Zero racehorse, in my opinion. So it feels like we kind of have to do it that way, but we need to spread across more. That's sort of the problem. Like, we didn't do nearly as many coat genetics in the PFPs as there are in real life. So we kind of have to try and fill out that somehow artificially, or, some way. We got to fill out the genome, I suppose, of those Gen Zeros in a slightly different way. But yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll go to EG. Let's see, next one here. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. Yep. EG. What is that PFP? I don't know if I recognize that one.
Right now, it's yeah, it's a project I'm actually working on. I'm a project manager for.
Oh, great. Good luck.
Thanks. It's from the Solarians. They it's like a little community driven project. Anyways, so I was just wondering how far are we in the breeding tool, and when can we look to expect that?
Yeah, that's a good one. So it works internally. We've been using it. The other night, Friday night, I was actually on Discord, and I let people send me a few combos to test it out. So it's pretty close, though. We're continuing to tune. I mean, that's sort of one of those things that we really have to make sure that it's dialed in. We don't want to release it and then have to change it, because people are making a lot of decisions on what they buy, sell, hold, based on this. So it does have to be kind of final. It can't just be necessarily like, oh, here's our alpha version of it, and then later we're like, oh, you know what? We actually made speed a different calculation. We just can't do that. So it's just taking a little bit more time than I expected to tune it, which is good. I think it's better. I know it puts kind of a little bit of a hold on everyone because you don't really know what to move. You don't know what to move in, what to move out, what to trade for. I've tried it as best as I can to explain the top level logic of it. Meaning that, rarity matters the most, but you can use these 4 and 5 trait matches to really kind of jump yourself up a little bit, but really rarity, of course, matters the most. However, it's so different from when you actually can see it in person and immediately figure out, oh, that actually made him jump from a B grade to an A grade horse. So I was hopeful that it would come next week, to be honest, but it is Thanksgiving. So I'm not totally sure. I don't want to commit. I mean, I would love to commit to next week. I'm going to try my best. I feel like I see one of my team members on the call, and he's probably like shaking his head no. But we'll try our best for next week. Before the holiday. But if the holiday kind of gets in the way, then it would probably be the week after. Unfortunately, but it'll be cool. It'll be so helpful when you get it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I do have one other question. And by the way, take as much time as you guys need on that. You are totally right. Like, we want it to be perfect. And we don't want to have to change anything after you release it, So,
right. Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely. Also, can you just reiterate what the purpose of having the stylish stud NFTs after they breed is?
Yes. So, the stylish studs and the Fine Fillies collection, I look at them and consider them sort of a VIP pass. And what that means is that the holders of those for the life cycle of the game are getting kind of an exclusive treatment. So there's, 2 parts of that. Number one is the in-game treatment. So, when you go to purchase something off of the store, if there were something, in-game items, those would be discounted. You would also have access to extra data that other people do not. So when you finish a race or you're previewing a race that's upcoming, you'd be able to see things like, extra genetic reports or past performances of the horses that were going into that race. A lot of in-depth data. You can think about it like in real life horse racing when you pay a subscription to, to see past performances or extra, analytics about a race upcoming or a race that finished. You can basically do that with our game by just owning the PFPs. And then the other, I guess, the most critical that seems to be the most interesting for the crypto audience is the access to the airdrops of our Crown token. So we're hoping or planning on a 2-token economy, one of which being Crown, which is a fixed supply, and a governance token, and that would be getting airdropped every epic to holders, and the rate at which you would get would be based on how many you hold and how rare they are. So I think that one's probably one of the most interesting for the crypto audience because of that possibility of getting a really large balance of Crown by just being a holder.
And Crown would be used in the in-game store and the economy of photo finish as a whole.
So there's 2 tokens so Crown is a fixed supply, and so we don't want to use that in the in-game currency because it would hypothetically be fluctuating a lot. If you think about Axie, for example, you wouldn't want the AXS token to be an in-game token. Well, they have their own thing with the Love Potion also fluctuating a lot, but regardless, that token could be moving a lot around, and so you don't want, if you were buying sugar cubes to recover your horse, you don't want that to change from 10 cents to $150 because then it breaks the game economy. So the in-game economy is called Derby. That's the name of that token. So Crown's main sort of link to that economy is that you could take license of a racetrack, and so racetracks are earning Derby because Derby is the main in-game currency. When 10 people enter a race, they're entering using Derby. That's the in-game currency. And the track would be getting a cut of the Derby, and how you get a track is by using the Crown. So that's how the 2 are kind of linked, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Yeah, I get confused sometimes. I read the roadmap and everything. But,
yeah, I do too. Believe it or not,
I'm in so many projects.
Right.
Yeah. No, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay. Next up, I've got NFT Brad. Connecting. Brad, you there? Hello, sir? No? Oh, maybe not. I'll throw someone else on. Brad will come back. The tsunami rises. Tsunami, are you there? Oh, 0 for 2? Jeez, okay. Well, you guys are added as speakers when you get back. All right. Here we go. Another D-God here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Dwan, did I get you? Yeah, there you are.
I'm here.
Hello.
First of all, thank you so much for hosting this. It's been awesome to see the progress over the last couple of weeks and months. For anybody who's new to this, got to check out the roadmap. It's incredible. Anybody who sees the roadmap, their life gets changed. It's been really fun being in the Discord and watching everybody just light up. They always ask a bunch of questions. Somebody tells them to look at the roadmap, and they come back from the roadmap with a different view on what this game can be. So first of all, I'd recommend everyone doing that. But my question for you, Ian, is do you mind just going into a bit of detail about what the beta game is going to be versus the mobile game? Because in the roadmap, we've got Q1, Q2, 2022 being this beta, which seems like it's going to be a desktop game. Now, D-Race and Z-Run are very much desktop, but then obviously a lot of third times experience has been in mobile gaming. And I can see towards the back end of 2022 is this mobile game. So do you mind just going into a bit of detail about how they're going to be different?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So yeah, as you said there, the first delivery for us is a desktop, product, a web product. And there's quite a few reasons for that, but I can try and go through sort of quickly. But we're trying to get to market as soon as possible using all the technology that we've already built. We have a race simulator, we've got a breeding engine, we have all these things that kind of work independently of being inside of a game. And so we feel like we can get a really strong competitor in the space super fast because of all of that. We have this a head start, so to speak. And so we can get onto the web really quickly by building a kind of bare bones website where you can, enter horses into races and watch them run and, have entry fees paid in and paid out. So that's the very first, product, that the MVP, so to speak, is that sort of shell. The calendar that we've talked about, horses aging, that's a key part of it. You manage your stable of horses by just in terms of like you've got a stable, you have a name for your stable, you name the horses, straightforward experience. And hopefully, again, we're at market quickly with that and can really people start understanding and seeing how much better of a product we can build, how much better tuned it will be. We'll have tokenomics going, a whole sort of economy going, and a game that has lasting power. Like our current mobile games, that they're not going to hit a huge brick wall in terms of the economy. And so the mobile game though is the way I look at that is really just a huge growth vector for us. And it's exciting to imagine 6 months from now even 10,000 people playing this game and I guess 5,000 horses and they're breeding and 10,000 wanting to get in. But the eye on the prize for me is that there's 10 million horse racing fans that have come through our system, 13 million, 14 million. Those are the ones that I want to bring over. And being a crypto forward or a crypto only website experience is limiting. Whereas having a mobile game where people can drop in and play for free, they don't have to pay $10,000 or $5,000 or whatever it is. They don't have to set up a phantom wallet. They don't have to figure out how to get currency from their native region moved into Seoul. That's a huge growth vector for me, is like get people addicted and hooked on the game, just like we've done before, and then graduate them into a peer-to-peer PvP horse racing experience that's running. So the way that I look at that now is sort of tricky because I'm sure you guys know, maybe you don't. Both Apple and Google have not really good standards so far of supporting NFTs and crypto inside of apps. It's tricky, at this current day. You can't really host a private key wallet on someone's phone. very easily, right? And now that's hopefully changing in the next 6 months. But for example, if I wanted to buy a horse from you inside of a mobile app, an iPhone app, iOS, or even Google Play, right now that's like, well, they want a cut of it. Was it on a crypto exchange? Where was it hosted? There's a lot of stuff right there that can really throw wrinkles in things. So to me, that's why we're kind of pushing it a little bit later in the year, is that hopefully someone and the companies themselves will have more realistic terms of services. We can understand what would get shot down before we build it, and sort of skirt our way around some of the limitations. But so I guess to the gist of the mobile app itself, the way I see that working is really the care and training and preparation of your horse is that app. And so you can look at our previous games to kind of see, some of the ways that we think about that. But whether it's little mini games or whether it's arcade mechanics, strategy balancing of attributes, there's something to just taking care of your horse. There's something fun about that. When you breed your new horse, getting him ready to race, him or her. And I think that's where the mobile app fits in the best, that you could have that on the go and all times throughout the day, taking care of your horse, running him through little drills, breezing him, doing little quick, things to keep him happy, keep his form high, keep him well cared for. And then, when it's time to enter the big money race, maybe you do that on the web platform. I'm not sure. Again, I would love for it all to be on the mobile phone, but again, there's sort of like a technical limitation to that right now. So we'll see how that shakes out in the next year. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And it just kind of shows how much detail coming from the horse racing manager game is going to enter into this real world and it's NFT owned kind of play to earn PvP type gameplay. So really exciting. And then one other thing, again, roadmap related, but beyond the roadmap. So thinking about a year from now, 2 years from now, what kind of do you envisage for the kind of horse racing photo finish 2 metaverse to look like? And one thing that's always interesting is how many participants are going to be bettors who just come to watch races and bet and enjoy the show versus breeders versus stable managers and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's a great question. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, but what you always talk about is our North Star is real life. And so, it's been an eye opener for us working in the horse racing sort of game industry for the last, 5-ish years, 6 years, is the knowledge that there are all these people doing different jobs along the way in the horse racing economy. And so what we're building right now for you guys is basically the very top of the chain, right? The owners of the horses, and they just show up and they watch them race. But there's like a ginormous, huge, multi-billion-dollar economy of people wagering on those races that have nothing to do with it, as well as another multi-billion-dollar economy of all the people that train them and get them ready, that breed them and sell them and go to auctions and watch them run little races and sprints to see if they can find the hidden jewel and flip him for double the money, as opposed to worrying about a $6 million purchase at auction and just showing up. So I think that's when I think about that universe, it is much more like real life. I want to make an event out of every single big race that we host every single Saturday night, that everyone joins in. It's a great community. Everyone's watching these races, and then it starts spilling over into real life. All the people that are watching these virtual ones start caring about the real life ones. And I think that's been really exciting in our community so far, is seeing how many people, it seems like the majority of the people in our community that joined have no idea how horse racing works, how you gamble, how you bet. And it's an extremely exciting sport to wager on. It's really, really fun. It's been around forever. And it's been one of the top sports in the US for a long, long time, but they've really lost the youth audience since like the 60s, 70s. And so it's like, maybe this is the shot in the arm that the industry needs, to really like bring in a youthful audience that, can learn to understand this. They can start having a shot at owning horses themselves. It's really, really a super fascinating space that's just, everyone thinks of it not every, but a lot of the investors I talk to say, oh, it's so niche, what are you going to do after, or what are you going to do? And I was like, it's not really that niche. It really isn't. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that used to be on top. So we can think about it actually coming back, or we can think about it as, oh, we're only serving a few, million people. I like to think of it as the former.
Yeah, totally. No, honestly, thanks for answering all these questions. I can
Yeah.
see in a couple of years being the call it the FTX third time derby online,
Right.
millions of viewers. But I'll get off the stage now, and thanks for answering the questions.
Yeah, no problem. All right, I'll do Tsunami, who was let's see, Tsunami, you back, sir?
Thanks very much, mate. Thank you.
Yeah.
My question, sir, is do you think we'll need our own marketplace eventually and like depart ourselves from like the Magic Eden and stuff like that? Because I'm looking at when you've got like obviously at the it's just fresh, so we've got Gen O's, we're talking about Gen Zeros and Gen Ones, but really in reality this could go on to infinity. Like this can go on to like generation 120, and
Right.
it is literally infinity. So will we need to like depart ourselves from what the marketplace that are available now?
That's a good one. Yeah, personally, I believe that 100% we will have our own marketplace. And the reason of that primarily right now is that we have a lot more data that we need to be able to show when you're buying and selling horses that you can't stuff into an existing marketplace. Right now a marketplace you click on and it's a list of traits, right? I mean, it's a collection of a blob of traits. But we have a lot more stuff, right? We've got the parents, the genealogy. We have, the race record, their history, their earnings, their winnings. We can't just kind of like stuff that into the current sites. You'll want to be able to see that with, you want to be able to see that with, graphs and visualization,
exactly.
right?
No, like what you said before with like associating with Google Play and Apple and stuff like that. I think in within the next year or two, I don't think they're going to be any valuable to us. Do you know what I mean? With like what we want to do, with like what you said with all the graphs and stuff like that. I don't think they can provide that service.
Yeah, we're trying to partner with some of our favorite people now, because obviously we don't want to build everything ourselves if we don't have to in terms of getting to market quicker. Maybe over time we do build certain things ourselves, but we're trying to find good partners in the space. For example, Magic Eden is a big favorite of ours. It's been a great team to work with. So
No,
that's a team that we'd like
definitely.
to work with to build things, but it wouldn't be like
when the tokens come into play and stuff like that, it's different then, isn't it? It's a different world then, isn't it?
Yes, it becomes more of an internal walled garden.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. Sorry.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks for letting me.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me
No
speak.
problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Brad, you're back there, NFT Brad.
Yeah, hey mate. Sorry.
Hey,
sometimes when I join up into spaces, it takes a while to connect, and it just took me a little while to get in. Anyways, thanks for having me up. I'm obviously quite a huge fan. It's probably my highest conviction project out there. Something you spoke about earlier, with regards to kind of scaling to the existing user base of the 13 million users you have, and scaling across non-crypto users or potentially people that couldn't afford the game assets, and personally being quite closely connected to a few guilds. Just wondering, within the game mechanics, will there be, I guess, the ability to have a child account where you can deploy your assets and have kind of like a scholar play the game for you? Is that part of the setup? What does that look like? Yeah,
that's a good one. That's something I got to make sure I do not forget that we make, because that is I think critical. Again, when we think about what is there 3 months from now, 4 months from now, that's going to be a little bit tougher to squeeze in. But when I think about the play to earn side of the game, a lot more gameplay to do. I do really, really like that idea of, just like real life, the owner still owns this horse, but there's the trainer, there's all kinds of people working along the way. There's the people managing the stable, they're taking care of the breeding. There's all kinds of people along the way that are playing for different stakes. They're not spending millions of dollars, but they are, involved in the ecosystem. And I think the guild is perfect for that. So we do have to make sure we find a way to do that cleanly so that it's not sharing people having to share each other's passwords or whatever to log in, that there's actually a way to do it. So I wrote a note down to make sure I don't forget that and throw it on our backlog to do, because that's great.
Yeah, awesome. I guess it becomes a little bit of a security issue. So if you look at something like Axie and how you can deploy scholars there, maybe it's a similar kind of system.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think
exactly.
for me that's how you achieve mass scale, especially with a project like yours when you've got quite a few whales and holders holding quite a few of the pieces, and a lot of those people, probably won't have time to play the game, or won't have the bandwidth to get really focused on training and breeding, and yeah, it just unlocks a whole nother level of scale. So that's really exciting.
I
Um,
totally agree, and because I guess I've seen that too. There's a couple of the folks in our Discord that own 50 plus studs, and they realize there's no way they can manage that, and so they've been reaching out to the current horse racing manager players because those people know the game the best, and they're like, hey, let's team up, let's do a syndicate. You take care of the horses, and I'll give you revenue share of the winnings. So yeah, we just need to make that official so it's not so shady and back channel, or ripe for fraud, I suppose.
yeah, awesome. I guess we could probably take that offline.
Yeah.
Another question, and maybe it's a bit more of a spicy one. I remember quite early on there was something in the notes around, and you spoke to it earlier as well, around the future utility of studs and fillies. I guess airdrops is one thing which is great. You breed a filly, they expire, I guess, technically worthless, because they can't breed again, but they do then have the future utility of airdrops, which gives them value. With the studs, I guess 5,000 of them aren't going to be able to breed.
I guess even probably a lot more, right?
Yeah, probably a lot
Yeah.
more. So then the question there as well, and it was something mentioned really early on, that studs could potentially at some point be kind of exchanged 1-for-1 for a Gen Zero. Is that still on the roadmap? Is that not? Was that?
Yeah,
Is that
I
too
mean,
much of a spicy question?
no, I don't think if that was ever discussed, that was maybe just a rough idea. But no, yeah, the Philly to stud combo for the Gen Zero has been the thing locked in stone for a while. So no, there's no exchange planned for that. And so yeah, I'm curious how people will value the PFPs. After the breeding is done, I really don't know. Some people are super bullish on it. Some other people feel like, well, I need to go ahead and sell it now because it's low. I mean, to me, I think of, wow, only 15,000 people that have access to all these things, or maximum 15,000 of being in a DAO. And I don't know, it still feels like a pretty big deal to me, but, to each their own, I suppose.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably about really clearly and loudly communicating to everyone what that future utility looks like, what the economic value of holding those pieces looks like, and also, whether it's DAO voting, whether it's, as you said before, the amount you hold or the rarity of the ones you hold depends how much airdrops you get. So yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to watch that economy. But
Yeah,
thanks for
fully agree.
answering my questions, man.
Yeah, of course, Brad. Thank you. Okay, Jim looks like is thinker. Jim, are you there still? Hey, Jim.
So I played both of your previous games, and it seems like you guys are moving in the direction more towards horse racing manager for this game, and that surprised me because photo finish was more popular. So can you get into maybe why you're leaning towards this way and what decisions, made you go this way?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, Photo Finish was our first game, and that game had extremely good day one retention. People ask about mobile game metrics. When that game launched, it had 55% day one retention, which was really really strong at the time. But it never hung on to players. So it was great for us. By the first or second day of someone playing, they would have paid for themselves if we were acquiring them or doing user acquisition, and that was awesome. But then they couldn't. It could never really get to that next level of spend. In mobile games, you're having to try and find ways to, obviously get maximum amount of money from a small percent of your audience. And so we went to Horse Racing Manager as sort of our next idea, which was let's make a really, really in-depth simulation that will be the opposite. It will be a really strong, high retaining, long-term game. And so it wasn't as successful for a couple of reasons. It is, of course, a simulation. There's no actual arcade game mechanics. So that immediately drops your audience down somewhat. And it's also, just like a mismatch from us, what we had, and our publisher at the time. So our publisher was a mass marketing, user acquisition, publishing team. And so they would run wide ad campaigns that did not necessarily match with a audience that was into a simulation of horse breeding and management. So, I feel like at some level we kind of swung the pendulum a little too far, in that, we made a game that was really only exciting for people very into the horse management and breeding. And so I look at this game as not really a full sequel to Horse Racing Manager as much as a blend between the two. And right now what we're building will feel more like Horse Racing Manager. It's more of a, enter the horse into the race and watch them run. But I look at the long-term vision, the mobile app, the onboarding, creating a play-to-earn game, all of that will have a lot more of the mechanics of photo finish. A lot more fun to play, something to do rather than just watch the horse. You can actually take care of it. You can race him. You can, have a fast arcade mechanic that you're finished in 10 seconds, 15 seconds, a good bite-size gameplay experience. And, those are the types of things that's hard to convey right now because, it's so early and I can't make gameplay videos of how this is going to work. But in my head, I think of this third game as actually a combo of the two. And so it's just kind of a problem because it's a staged release. Right now we're building only one part of it. It's going to be the website version, which will be much more of a simulation. But that's also the audience that we're building for right now. So to your question, there of like, well, it was more successful. We had obviously much fewer players and downloads in Horse Racing Manager, but the average revenue and the average retention were orders of magnitude higher. And so that's the type of game we want to build here for a crypto audience or for a hardcore audience at first, is a game that, has endless strategy, has endless skill and can't be beaten. It can't be cracked. It's just something that it's just an ecosystem, right? It's as opposed to an arcade game. And then start layering in all of our fun, approachable UX and arcade mechanics over time. So hopefully that makes sense. Good question.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Rocket Grunt Jake with a turkey for a profile pic. I think that's a turkey, or is that a pigeon? Is that a pigeon? Rocket, are you there? He's got a bunch of belugies. No. Oh, Rocket, I'm gonna add someone else. If you get back, say hey. Okay, the bank. What have we got here? The bank spankers. Well, go ahead.
Thanks, Ian. Less of a question, just more it's kind of a thank you. The process of, we've kind of started at the beginning with the minting of the studs and then the airdrop of the fillies, and the way you guys have done everything has been very above board. You always seem to be around to answer questions. And it's just really appreciated. It's kind of unique in this space. You don't really get a lot of that with a lot of the other projects we've been involved with. So thanks, and just keep up the good work.
Oh, awesome. Appreciate it very much. Okay. Let's see. We got a next here. Add speaker. I'm trying to see how to say this. Aghast something.
Do you hear me? Yep.
Yes. Hey.
Hi, Ian. Been a recent investor and in the NFTs, and then I own stylish studs and now some fillies as well. So my question to you is, one of the perks of holding the stylish studs is that you can rent a racetrack and then you can get a revenue from that. But considering, let's say there are like across all the 15,000 NFTs, stylish studs and fine fillies, there are like 7 to 8K unique holders. And let's say there are 100 racetracks. Will there be a huge competition between all the unique holders to get the wager, like buy the racetrack for a day or something?
Yeah, that did come up.
That is a good map.
Oh, geez,
I'm echoing. Sorry.
I'm gonna mute. Okay. Yeah, that did come up. That's a great question. So it will be competitive if we do it that way. number one, it's not a one-to-one of a stud to Philly holder. It's actually Crown, right, that you have to use to get the track license. But we'll find a good match there where it's not like 10 tracks for 5,000 people bidding. We have enough where we can split that out. We can make more tracks, or we can fractionalize the tracks. We can release and change. There's thousands and thousands of races being run, so I think there's enough to go around. Hopefully, we'll see how tough or how we balance that. They might be in high demand, and there might be not enough. If so, we would do an auction or something like that, or again fractionalize. We'd say, okay, people are able to bid on or do a syndicate, and everyone gets a piece of this single track or these types of races. But yeah, we don't know the math yet because we don't know how many people would be involved in terms of unique holders spending on these. But we have thought about it, and we do have plans for it.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. My second question to you is, I've recently watched a YouTube video where a guy was critiquing photo finish, and he was asking the team whether the horse can move left or right. I didn't understand. He says that the current games, like the Z race and the D race or whatever games, the horse runs straight. So in a photo finish, will the horse turn left and right? If I can.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I had to meet.
Yeah.
When I talk, your mic echoes. But yeah, absolutely. Our races are 100% authentic. We have a full track. They run fully accurate, simulation times. They run furlong by furlong. They run a full circle, an oval, if you so to speak. They run different race lengths. So we have 4 furlong races up to 14, or I think even 16 sometimes. And most of the time we cap it at 12 furlongs. But yes, they run in a actual realistic pattern. If you look at some of our simulations, for example, in on our YouTube channel or whatever, the ones that we do for the Kentucky Derby, I mean that's how they look. They look real. They don't run in a straight line.
Thank you. One last question is, let's say there are 5, so there'll be 5,000 Gen 0 horses. That means the first iteration of the game will be played by only 5,000 people to start off?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Ian.
Yep. Okay, I see Dinga, my old friend. Add. Dinga, for those who don't know, is one of the top players in Horse Racing Manager, if not the top player. Are you there, Dinga? I might have lost him, but oh, there you are. Yeah. Hey.
Hey, my question is just around the Gen 0, Gen 1 crossover and how that was going to look.
Give me more clear. What do you mean?
So you're going to have a few months in between Gen 0 and Gen 1 coming out?
Right. For the gestation to happen. Yep.
Yep. So is Gen 0 going to reset? I vaguely remember early on that was getting said.
Are they? Sorry, go ahead. Say again. I missed that.
So are they going to get reset, or whether it would just be they will die as their normal lifespan?
Oh, yeah, right. No, that's a good question. So that's one thing we are not 100% sure on. Let's say that everything is working great. The Gen Zeros will be 3 years old. They'll start racing right away. They would turn 4, 5, 6. They would all be those age 7 even before the next set of racehorses, would start showing up, right? If some people retired theirs and started breeding, so you've got 3 to 4 months there of only the Gen Zeros racing against each other. And so we do have this worry of well, what if there's 100,000 people wanting to get in? Do we have to inject our own Gen 1s, for example, in a mint to let that go? I really hope that we don't have to do any of that. And then the other question is, let's say that things aren't fully ready. We think of this as more of like a closed beta. We could hypothetically keep the Gen Zeros from aging, just getting the game working. Think of this as we're just testing it. It's a beta testing period. Everyone that's got a Gen 0, you're actually going to get to race for 2-3 months without any aging while we work out the kinks. I hope that we don't have to do that either, but game dev is game dev. So we'll discuss everything with the community and figure it out. I mean, the whole point for all of these is to increase value, not decrease it. So we don't want to have, let's say with Gen Zeros, they start racing, and 2 weeks in, we have some catastrophic bug. And then it's like, well, everyone already aged. Sorry, your Gen Zeros are now old. They can't run in the majors anymore. Tough luck. Better luck next time. You know, we don't want to do
Please,
anything like that. So
please do that. Please apply that. You know, please apply that. Honestly, I meaning to hold Gen Zeros for years. Like not race, not mated or anything. 'Cause I'm a holder, and I think about that. You know, so please apply that, please.
yeah, so we will we will obviously discuss everything with the community. Hopefully everything moves smoothly, and we just start the clock right when we start the clock, and everything's good. But you know, we'll obviously be real transparent as things are getting kicked up. But yeah, there is a pretty big gap there between the Gen Zero and the Gen One in terms of them being born. So there would be some time there where we don't have any crossover.
Maybe
Thanks.
Ian, another kind of, sorry to interrupt you, Ding, another kind of spicy question, I guess. Is there the ability for these Gen Zeros to get injured beyond being able to race again? And I guess in a dark sense, can they die?
We were not planning on death, but we were planning on injury. Yes. You know, again, we try to like model as much as we can of real life, and there's reasons. You know, why did the owners of Justify not enter him into every single race? Because they knew he would win, right? And the worry of that was injury, and so we don't necessarily want to put in these life-ending injuries, but we can obviously with a career and a lifespan, we can have that horse have an injury of time, and that would limit them as well. So that is definitely the plan to, you know, have. Again, it's just a big balancing part of the equation. I can't remember the exact stat. Paul is on here, could maybe tell me, but I feel like it's like, you know, 10-15% of races there's an injury of some sort, and you know, that's a reason why you want to be careful. You want to make sure that your horse is fully rested and recovered. You don't want to enter him into a race that's sort of meaningless for him. It's a big part of the balancing. So yeah, I think he might have just messaged it.
All right, just another question. Around the generations, do you see their skill evolving considerably, or will it be a bit of a slow, every generation slightly increasing?
That's a good question too. So, you know, everything that we're doing is genetics based, and so I think with enough population, there will be a lot of mutation that jumps up and down in various areas. So you know, we're hoping to leave this to the community for it to happen, for life to find a way, so to speak. You know, we're not really tightly controlling how these things are going to work. When it happens, we're going to let the people figure it out by breeding all kinds of different variants and combinations. You know, breeding mutters together and seeing what happens. So I do hope that you know, some free courses pop out quickly, and but I don't know if they will. I suppose.
Thanks. And just the last one, is there going to be any control over the sexes of Gen Zeros? Just obviously because we're going to get potentially 2,500 mares that then can on-breed to Gen 1 and 2 and so forth. Will there be any control just to make sure we have enough population to keep that going for Gen 1?
Yeah, we did talk about that of wondering if we needed to have a little bit of a hand of God on the gender selection when the foal is born. You know, again, my hope is not that it's just a coin flip, but I suppose if things were starting to get bad or good, one way or the other, we could turn the knob of the percentages. But hopefully we don't have to intervene. Again, you know, that's sort of, I guess, my top level on a lot of these is that hopefully we don't have to intervene. But we can, if the community really needed it. You know, if we all decided, hey, there's no gray horses, something went wrong. You know, we could intervene and introduce gray horses, right? But yeah.
Yeah, maybe an option for the owners for the Gen Zero at least to pick their sex might be an option, just because you could see potentially random luck, 10 mare holders suddenly getting 10 colts, and then they don't have a Gen 2 horse to kind of be able to rub together, have to buy back in.
That's valid. Yeah, you can do that in real life, right? I mean, you can sort of know, maybe. I guess you can know, but I'm wondering if you could force. Probably, I think that happens now. But anyway, that's a good question. Something to talk about in the future for sure. Thanks, Nika. Always good questions. How are you doing in the seasons lately, by the way?
I've got to rebuild. Got to beat the Turks.
Got to beat the Turks. All right. Move to the next one here. Kamish. Hey, Kamish.
Hey, Ian, how you doing?
Good.
So, question on the breeding. It's likely that there won't be 5,000 studs that mate 5,000 fillies, right?
Yeah, there's probably no way, right?
Right. And then we talk about rarity trumping, other qualities. And so you probably dwindle your stud pool down to, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 studs that mate. How do you ensure that the bloodlines can be expanded enough so that it doesn't become a self-fulfilling prophecy into like an inbreeding pool of like Gen 4s and Gen 5s, if that makes sense?
It does. So I think one way that we have been discussing this because, we're working on this breeding tool and we have, 50 million combinations of horses that can be made, but we don't know what people are going to do. We have no idea what 5,000 are going to be chosen. Are they going to be all the way at the top? Or are they going to be all the way at the bottom? I just have like no real idea. So one of the things that's interesting that I think we can do, and we'll have to do, is that when we do allow the actual breeding to occur, the breeding of that will not generate a horse exactly. It will generate a ticket for a horse, if that makes sense. It will generate a code for a horse, something along those lines. And so that then we would know everything that is going to go into the system. We'd be able to like check and double check our work and make sure that there's not some crazy top heavy problem or bottom heavy. Not that we wouldn't be changing the attributes of them. It's not like we're going to say, oh, everyone bred top level horses, we're going to spread it out and make a bell curve because we wanted to. It's just more that we could verify the genetic pool is spread out well enough before they end up starting to race, if that makes sense. I think that's our plan, the best that we've got right now. And as I said before, hopefully we don't have to intervene. If there was some problem there where an entire genetic side gets extinct, or like you said, everyone's inbreeding, we may have to intervene.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking about my horse. I have a pretty high ranked stud, and I'm like, all right, I'll do this stud with 5 fillies or 7 fillies. I imagine others are probably thinking the same way too. So just something that I was thinking about.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely going to happen. I'm going to do that. The ones that I have my one top 100. I'm going to use him for all of them probably, but I just think, well, there's enough genetic difference in the fillies, and this is what happens in real life. So there's a solution.
Can you guys lend me your stud?
that has been asked in this Discord. I think there's people thinking about doing the stud fee thing.
Yeah, 100%. I'm interested in that.
I don't support that officially, but I know that people have talked about.
Not in a decentralized manner, but if you were in person or something like that, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Anyway, okay. Hopefully that answers it, Kamish.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Okay, just a couple more here. Let's see. Sure shot. Adding. Slowly connecting. Nope. Might have lost sure shot. It's stuck. Oh, there it is.
Hey. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good. Welcome.
Hey, I was really stoked when I seen the models of the horses and jockeys and the racetracks. Man, it's looking awesome. Really,
thank you.
Really stoked. I got a couple ones. Maybe one's a easier, lighter one. Maybe the NBC Sports kind of connection. Are you still interacting this upcoming Derby and be able to promote the new game?
I sure hope so. That's definitely circled on the calendar as a big deal for us this year. Every year that we discuss that with them, it's always sort of last second. We never really know when it's coming and when it's not. last year was 2020 was actually all shaken up, and they didn't even do a sim because the Derby got delayed. So there's been a lot of it's always like kind of a last minute. We'll get in contact a few weeks before and see what we're going to do. But yeah, I mean, with this new game coming out, hopefully it's up and running and moving really at a nice clip by first week of May. I have really high hopes that we can work out something with them.
Yeah, I think if they saw, the new product too, I think they might, that'll go a long way probably to
the last
enticing them.
That's a good point. The last 2 years that we've done it, they've said, "Hey, have you have any updates to your horse models?" And it's like, not yet, But now that we do, I think they'd be a lot more stoked to use it because we were starting to look kind of dated. I mean, I get it. It's a mobile game. It's different from a 4K broadcast,
Yeah, looking great. And then I guess I was interested in just kind of general thoughts that you might have, maybe planting some seeds on thoughts of. I've seen some projects where, there seems to be a great sum is greater than the parts happening with the DAO and the development team, and kind of what kind of things that. I don't know. You think maybe people could lean into in the future for that?
Yeah. So I've been in discussion with Squads. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that, but it's a really great sort of software package that allows people to organize a DAO more officially. And so all they've been waiting for from us is really just a few of the core details of how we want the DAO to operate at the beginning. And obviously, the DAO could change the rules later, but for example, what percentage of votes is required for something to pass, or what percentage is required for someone to bring something to a quorum. So I was kind of leaning on the mods of our Discord to maybe help answer those because I don't want to necessarily drive that all the way through myself. I want to make sure that everybody else is involved. So it's also kind of strange because we could form it right now, but what would they do? There'd be no treasury. They need money to do stuff, I suppose. People could rally and, hey, I'm going to donate this or I'm going to do that. But we just, we're kind of, this happened just this week, by the way, just like 2 days ago. So I would love to get it going. I mean, that's one of the things I'm most excited about is this idea of the DAO and us owning a horse and us gambling together. And I think that's going to be like super thrilling. A huge part of the success of this game is, this really great community really rallying around that. So yeah, I need to get rolling on it. And I suppose like this coming week or maybe the week after Thanksgiving, we could go ahead and make it official, make a new Discord channel or even a brand new Discord server and then get the squad set up and people could start, bringing votes, seeing what they wanted to do. So yeah, good one. Fib, you're on. You're a mod. What do you think? Next week after? Is that too soon?
I don't think it's too soon. I think laying down some of the most basic of the infrastructural sort of like framework would be worthwhile. I mean, I'm so excited to begin discussing with people their ideas about the DAO and getting it rolling. And in terms of votes, I mean, we can leverage the PFPs for now until we get crown dropped. And actually, that kind of leads me into my question because I get a ton of questions about the tokenomic, just the tokenomics and when it's happening and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if you have any sort of insight on that at this point, given that we're kind of at a turning point. You're sharing a bunch of game knowledge. We've dropped the Phillies breeding tool incoming. So I don't know if you care to comment on that.
No, that's a good one. That is probably the one of the top most asked questions. When crown? Good question. So the reason I haven't pushed it all the way through is because, I have investors joining soon. And so I want to make sure that I don't do anything incorrectly there. They need to be involved in the token as well. I have to keep some of the supply for investors. And I want to make sure that I don't do anything wrong. So I have an attorney, kind of reviewing things. A lot of people just release a token and then start selling it and immediately do royalties on it. And that's pretty scary from security perspective. Without a utility of a token, you're right there in sort of scary land legally. And so, again, this is the nature of this project. You can see is that, we're going to maybe take a little bit longer on certain one of these things compared to possibly some other projects, but we're trying to be above board and make sure that we don't torpedo the whole thing, which I feel like some of these games might end up doing, and getting, huge fines or getting shut down. So we're trying to be a little more diligent on it. Personally myself, I created a token last week myself just to learn
Oh
how it
no.
worked.
Oh no.
I'm not gonna talk about what it is. It was just a test. It's only on DevNet right now, but regardless, the point being that I'm trying to learn how these things work and make sure that I do it correctly. So it wasn't that hard. I was able to make one on Solana and now figure out how I could trade it and put it on decentralized exchange and all that. So we're making progress, but we just don't have the exact details yet because we kind of want to make sure we do it fully correct. And I don't know when that would be. But that's such a thing, though. I guess maybe other games don't care, or maybe they've already figured it out. But to me, it's like if you create a token and it has literally no utility, like that's a security. Maybe it's not, but I don't know.
Right, and you did, and you kind of touched on that earlier. And of course, we would all like it to be. At least I speak for myself when I say I would like it to be, very well thought out and well implemented. If it's going to be governing the DAO and in-game utility aspect. So just just figured I'd ask for the pack because I get that question so much. So
yep, for sure. Okay, well, guys, it's been an hour. Amazing. Oh, hey, there's Soul Legend. I'll give him a wave. Mac, other mods in here. I really appreciate all you guys joining. Super fun times. And I'll see you on Discord. Hope you're digging the new reveal. Again, I think we've got a pretty massive advantage of everyone else in the space, but it's just going to take some time for us to get our marketing dialed in and, get everybody to learn about us. So appreciate it. See you guys on Discord. Later.